Hey y'all, I actually got a short of these guys earlier today, and I'm wanting to show y'all Papa Hugh cutting off the corn. So I thought, I haven't done a long video in a while. Today would just be that day. So I don't know what they found over here to eat, but something good apparently. And of course these guys are being their typical little now noisy self. Turn down your TV for a minute. I've got to go over and feed them. Uh-oh. And my garden hose. You mowed the dog lot yesterday and you left my garden hose hanging on the fence down here. Which, that's not a good thing. Hush! Guys! Oops, sorry. Sorry, little. Because I actually leave it right there while I'm working because it creates a little stream. And the mallards love it. They absolutely watch them. They're already going over there. They know what's coming. And they love playing in that little stream for some reason. Just like children. Just like children. Hey, babies. Look at you. Look at you. Yes, they get fresh water every day. But they make a mess in it. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'll get back to you in a minute. I don't know if we can continue watching them. No, I'm shaking it around too much, I know. Alright, let me just take care of their water real quick. How's everybody doing anyway? We have some gorgeous weather this week. No rain. And it's going to be in the 70s and low 80s. You can't ask for nicer weather than that. Unless it's in the low 70s. I like low 70s. These guys are over there eating out of the feed bucket as though they don't have food practically everywhere. And they're goofy, yeah. Talk to them for a minute. Say hi, girls. Say hi. Alright, well, I'm pointing at the ground and everything. Now these guys, they are so loud, but they are so beautiful. I think that African geese are one of the most beautiful ducks, or geese. They'll get mad at me. One of the most beautiful geese that there is. Alright, now I'll give the mallards their little stream back for a minute. And give these guys their food and their vitamin supplement for their water. But today's going to be just cutting up corn day. Yesterday I did a little bit of tomatoes. I got a canner run of half gallons and a canner run of quarts. But the sad thing is one of my half gallons broke. And I was disappointed this morning when I opened it and I saw that. And Hugh reminded me, and he's right. He said, honey, some of those jars are probably 75 years old. And he's right. I mean, they've been here for a gazillion of years. So I'm not going to complain about losing one canner run, because it's pretty rare that we do. Okay, I thought I might see them under there. I sure do hear them. Oh, they're over there. Okay. Alright, y'all. Let's go up here with Hugh, and I'll show you what's happening now. we'll have to walk past the noisy ones. Excuse me? Yes? You don't say. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Now, the thing about geese that you don't want to turn your back on them till you've gotten past them just a little bit, because they will bite you in the butt. They're just goofy like that. Now, I showed you yesterday the nesting boxes that Hugh built, and as I was passing a minute ago, I looked to see if there were if there was anything in the nesting box, and no, there was a chicken sitting right there, and there is her teeny tiny little egg. Look at that. It's so cute. It's probably half the size of the others, and it looks like some have actually been sitting in the nesting boxes, in that one at least. But no, I guess they like this corner better than the nesting boxes. Hugh said he thinks he built them too small, and he might have, I don't know. He said he'd rebuild them. Alright, let me close this down so that they feel nice and secure when they go in there. Oops, if I can get that little bar to go up. Alright. Now, whew, busy week. Yes, I hear you. I do. I've been coming out here and collecting Ferdinand's feathers because he's molting badly. And most of them are done before I get to them. There's not that really many beautiful ones laying around. But some of them I can capture. And you know what's interesting about it? There we go. Is that it looks like these little veiny feathers, these little tiny ones, at least on the back, they are turning more mauve-y. So maybe that's something that happens when they molt. Any of you that are familiar with peacocks might be able to tell me that. That one's pretty banged up. Oh well. So the girls emptied out everything in the first bin that I threw in there this morning. That one's got to get moved over to the second bin. There's Ferdinand. He's sitting up there on the wall. You can see how shabby he's beginning to look, bless his heart. But I want to move that one and start bringing the manure and the wood chips over and clean out the chicken houses and start a new pile. But hopefully by springtime we will have those two completely filled and the second one almost ready to use. The first one will be ready to use. Yes, I hear you. Hi, darling. Hi, darling. I know. I hear you. I hear you. Pretty girl. There's a little pile that I gathered up earlier. I'll put those with them. And I'll come over here and gather eggs in a minute. As you can see, I am using my new little... I don't hang things out as neatly as I used to. Now it's just get it up and let them dry. Oh, where'd you go, Pops? He was sitting out here in this chair, shucking them. Let me see where the shucks are. And now he's found him a spot of shade. he's sitting up here. Cutting the kernels off the corn.
Huh?
Wouldn't you like to have $1 for every... Wouldn't you like to have a penny for every corn that you've done that to?
We'd take a heck of a vacation. If I had $1 for every ear of corn I've done this to, we'd buy a great big farm.
Now that's when you know somebody's a real farmer. It's where their dream, if they ever win the lottery, and he's told me this, and it's funny because we don't play, well, I have bought the lottery ticket on the very rare occasion, but he said if you'd win the lottery, we'd buy us a really big farm somewhere.
I would.
That is
I'd like to have about 500 acres.
Yeah, we're getting a little long in the tooth for that one, honey.
We are. But don't press my bubble.
I won't. So this is his part of the corn, and then when he gets this finished, I'll take it in and parboil it. That's the term I couldn't remember the other day.
You blanch it.
Blanch it. Oh, excuse me, I still got it wrong. So anyway, I looked this week to see if that was actually a necessary step or if it was an old wives' tale. And it is a necessary step. It keeps it from kind of getting chewy in the freezer and also developing kind of a strange, weird taste. So we want it to taste as fresh as it possibly can. And so this has to be worked up in just the few minutes after he gets it finished.
I'm doing it in stages. I pulled that blue box out there. It was pretty much full, and I did half of it and silked it, and I'm cutting it off in that way. While I'm doing that, she can get this ready to go in the freezer.
Yeah, and I'll just parboil it probably in the microwave. Hugh's mother had started doing it that way. That keeps you from having to stand and stir it. You don't have to worry about scorching it. But as soon as it's done like that, then I'll put my little bowl in a little sink full filled with ice water, keeping the water from going over the top, and just let it cool real quickly. And then I'll put it in my little freezer baggies, press the air out, and put it in the downstairs freezer. There's nothing like fresh corn in the middle of the winter. That's just absolutely wonderful.
And I've tried several different kinds of corn cutters, and I still prefer this one over the rest of them because it cuts the kernel off, and then it scrapes the cob to get the rest of the liquid off of it. But they're extremely dangerous, so
yeah, be careful.
You got to hold it with your hand in that position right there to push it across the blade. If you don't hold it exactly right, that blade is sharp and it will cut you. And I have been cut several times.
Yes, he has. He will take the corn husks and feed those to his cattle in a little while.
Yeah, the cobs and the shucks
And I've got to brag on Papa because we had 2 steers processed this past week, and you know that hurts my heart, girls. It does, but I'm not a vegetarian. Maybe one day, but the processor that we took them to is a local processor, and when we picked them up, he said, "I don't know what you're doing different." He said, "But your beef is the best beef I've seen in a long time." And he said sometimes he gets beef in that's really fatty. Sometimes he gets beef in that actually even smells kind of odd. But he said our beef was exceptional. And so far this week we have had some sirloin steaks, and last night we had hamburgers. And I can tell you that both were the best meat that I've ever eaten. So Papa is the expert.
Well, I grew up eating grass-finished meat, and I prefer grass-finished. And a lot of times what you buy in the store is not grass-finished. Their primary diet is grass, but they get fed a lot of grains and it adds marbling to the meat. But our meat is really lean, and the sirloin steak we had is had some marbling in it, but you could still cut it with a fork. And the steak went straight off of the pasture to the processor. We didn't feed them a special diet. They just eat just like every other cow we've got.
A lot of people that finish that have pasture raised beef will finish them for a couple of weeks with grain, or at least supplement pretty heavily with grain, in order to just make them
Makes the meat sweeter.
Yeah, makes it a little sweeter, makes them
And
a little fattier. But we did not.
Our meat, our hamburger, we didn't give the processor any special instructions. We wanted to consider that all of the less than prime cuts were put into ground beef. And the hamburgers we grilled last night did not shrink, so I'm saying it's less than 10% fat in our ground beef, which is really good.
But gosh, they were juicy.
I love a good meatloaf.
They were still juicy, and it was really good. It was really good. So anyway.
And if you like your stuff medium rare, your burgers and hamburger steaks and all kind of medium rare, I wouldn't be afraid to eat our meat medium rare, because it hung for 14 days, which is a government requirement, USDA requirement. And in the grocery store, there's no telling how long that beef has been hung or waited before processed. So I'm not afraid to eat ours raw. If you like raw meat, I'd eat it raw, but
yuck.
I like mine just warm.
Oh, gracious.
I've worked for several people in the past that we'd go to a steakhouse and eat when we were at a school or training facility, and some of them would tell the server just to run theirs in the barn and cripple it a little bit and put it on the plate. But I like the way we raise meat. That's just my preference, but then that's what I grew up with. My dad, we always had our own beef processed, and that's just what I prefer.
The thing that makes me kind of come to grips with it, because even though, I mean, I've never been a vegetarian, never considered it truly, but it does hurt my heart to see these animals treated so poorly, being stuck in feedlots, and just their lives are just horrifying.
Well, they're in a confined space and they're force fed, and which is not good.
So with our beef cattle, at least I can say it makes me happy that when they're on this farm, they live a stellar, wonderful life. They're well taken care of, and so.
But now I do feed them sweet feed once a week, but that's for my benefit. That's not to make the meat taste any better, because cows, if you have a hole in a fence, I promise you a cow will find it. And a lot of times you'll have a tree or something blow down and knock the fence down, but if my cows get out, I can get a bucket of feed out of the barrel. And
Don't. Pops, let me have that. I'll go rinse it. We don't want that in the food.
It wasn't on the ground long enough to...
I don't think with corn it's going to be the 5-second rule.
But
that's what happens when he's talking. He doesn't think.
I can get a bucket of feed and call my cows, and they'll come in a hurry because they know they're going to get a treat. And I don't call them unless I'm feeding them, so that way they know when I call there's a treat involved. And go rinse it so I can with this batch.
All right. Well, let's just not worry about that. There's just one little place left on it. Your cattle will like that.
All right, you can start on this one, and I'll go sift and shuck and sift the rest of it.
Okay, just leave that in there, and I'll wipe it down. All right. Well then, Pops, tell them bye till next time.
Bye till next time. I'm gonna go back to shucking and silking corn.
He's doing a fine job, except
And,
for picking it up and almost breaking it in there off the porch. I'm gonna have to watch him.
Corn is just a disaster to process.
Yes, it is. Look what a
And
mess.
that's why I do it outside,
He even
because
got all over me.
out here on the porch, I can take a pressure washer or the water hose and rinse everything off. You really don't want to do this inside.
No. All right, yeah, I've got doggies waiting on us at the door. All right, y'all. I'm going to get off here and get started on the corn. And love ya. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.